What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another collaboration beer. This time between Hop Butcher for the World and DryHop Brewers, both of which are out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Double Milkstachio, or Milkstachio, either way. So they are calling this one a Pistachio Double Milk Stout brewed with chocolate. It comes in at 9% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. This can is just over 2 months old. So it's been about 3.5 months since I reviewed a beer from Hop Butcher on the channel. And this just showed up recently here in the Buffalo, New York area about a couple weeks ago. So I picked it up. Now, full disclosure, I've had the base of this beer, or the single of this beer, which is just called Milkstachio, and it's 6%, I'm pretty sure. Now, I did not review it on the channel. They sent it to me, I want to say it was late 2020 or early 2021. The channel was on hiatus at the time, so I just drank it off camera, untapped. I checked it in, gave it a 4 out of 5. And the one detriment to that beer was the mouthfeel was, it was very carbonated. I wanted it to be a little bit more soft, smooth, and creamy. And also the pistachio flavor wasn't as intense as I was hoping for. And I really wanted to see them do a double or imperial version. And here we go. So I don't know much about DryHop Brewers, but they've collabed with them on the base and this. So there's that, and they're in Chicago. They're a brew pub. That's all I know about them. So this is going to be filled to the top. So when I crack this open, it's going to go everywhere. Come on. All right, it didn't. Anyway, we're going to pour into the hashtag proper glassware and see what we got going on here. So yeah, that's pouring out a bit thicker. Although it's lighter, it's like a dark brown. It definitely has a decent viscosity, but not crazy. So yeah, we'll do something like that. You know, pour it all in there. Let it settle for a second. Also, anybody out there, whether it's Jeremiah from Hop Butcher or anybody in Chicago, there is, you're not going to see it, but there is no can-on date on the bottom. Now, Hop Butcher's been supporting beer tubers for like 4+ years at this point. I would say that the vast majority of the beers they've ever sent my way, they always had a can-on date. The last couple times that I've seen stuff show up, and some of it's, you know, stuff that I've already reviewed and whatnot, so I didn't pick it up, or just I picked it up to drink off camera, at least half of the cans do not have can-on dates. So I don't know what's going on. If there's, you know, some of them do, some of them don't. I'm not sure. So Jeremiah or anybody out there in Chicagoland that, you know, buys Hop Butcher, what is your experience recently with the can-on dates? Do you see them typically? Do you not? It was just kind of weird because, like I said, most of their stuff has can-on dates, and I've noticed recently it doesn't. So I don't know if it's something to do with like the new brewery or whatnot, but I was just curious. Anyway, in the glass, this is pitch black. It's going to be pitch black on camera. Hold up to light, it's pitch black. When I was pouring it, more like a dark brown, almost cola-esque. I had about a finger of this straight up brown colored head, looked very creamy, and it looked like it was just gonna, you know, almost like a milk chocolate or something head. It was crazy looking, like it was gonna be, you know, this beer is gonna be super smooth and creamy. It is now dissipated to a thin film. Could be maybe the oils from the pistachios. Something's doing that to make it where there is almost no head. And it's in the hashtag proper glassware, although that is the purple font. So it probably doesn't look as good as I think in the glass. Let me turn it around and see. It looks pretty good. Anyway, let's get a nose. Do a little bit of a swirl here. I don't want to spill it. So, I mentioned this before when I've reviewed milk stouts plenty of times. Sometimes I get a little bit of this like metallic kind of a twang in the nose. Most of the time it doesn't carry over to the taste, but in the nose, it definitely hits me. It's hitting me right here. There's this kind of metallic, again, twang, metallic note that I'm picking up on. But underneath that, there's a lot of like, you know, richer like dark chocolate, definite vanilla, and then like a generic nuttiness. There's also a little bit of like, I would say, I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's coming off more of like the malt being toasted rather than roasted. Like a lot of times in this, you just say, oh, it's roasted malt, right? It has more of like a toasty kind of malt that you would get like in a, say like a brown ale or something like that. It's more toasty than roasty. Ooh. So just for a second there, was I going back and forth, a sharpness from like what I perceive as the aroma of a pistachio hit me. And I like pistachios. Pistachios are delicious. Yeah, I mean, there's chocolates, like a sweeter dark chocolate. There's you know, a vanilla kind of, probably coming from the lactose. I don't think there's vanilla in here. And then there is a nuttiness. It's more generic other than that one little twinge, a little bit of metallic vibe. Maybe a touch of a dark fruit in here too. Maybe like a raisin or a fig, date, something in that realm. Very, very slight. I'll just be honest with you, it smells good but not great in the nose. I think part of it's that metallic kind of twang, and then it being more toasty than roasty is kind of weird when the beer looks like this, but let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Ooh, there's a lot of pistachio. There's a lot of lactose. There's a lot of sweetness. Holy shit. What just happened? There's a lot of things happening. Wow. So recently I reviewed a beer from Pulpit Rock that it was an imperial pastry stout that had a lot of pecan quality. And I said, oh, I cannot believe how intense the pecan character is in this beer, like 8 times in the review. Is ridiculous. I'm poor at doing this, so whatever. That's kind of happening. The pistachio, there's almost like if you've ever consumed pistachios, you've ever had pistachios, and when you're done chewing it up and you swallow it, what happens is a lot of times you get that like drying kind of nutty quality on the back of the throat. Pause. But what I like about that is the fact that I'm actually getting specifically pistachio. Would I be able to tell blind it's pistachio? No, but I'd say there's a definite kind of some kind of nut in here, 100%. But let's go body mouthfeel. Buying this is nice. It's like lower side of full, 9%. It's appropriate, maybe even a little bit bigger than I assumed. I'm having the same issue with this that I had with the base pistachio, or milkstachio. It's a little bit too carbonated and almost astringent from the carbonation. Not that it's like super harsh, but something like this, I want it to be smooth and creamy and soft, and it's not really that mouthfeel-wise. It's more carbonated than I would personally enjoy. It does have a smoothness to it. There is a creaminess, but then you get like, it's like you first get hit with that carbonation, then in the second half of the palate is where the smooth, creamy sensation. I want that through and through, and it's not. It's kind of, so the body's fantastic. The mouthfeel, a letdown, just like the base. Taste, it's good. I like the taste of this. I think I like the taste a little bit more than the base. So front to back, there is this omnipresent, like nice, sweet, dark chocolate, like front to back, dives underneath the palate. Never the predominant note for me, but always there. Again, I'm getting more of a toasted kind of malt quality up front into a roasted malt. So it's a little bit more roasty and toasty in the taste than it was in the aroma. Halfway through the palate, a little bit of that dark fruit I was talking about, more of like a date or a fig or something, maybe even like a dark cherry, something in that realm, maybe even like a grapey, like a dark grape. As it finishes though, there's a pop of vanilla, and the vanilla mixes in with the chocolate. So it's a nice, like, chocolate vanilla kind of vibe, right? But then the second, like I'd say the last third of the palate is all of that pistachio, and it dries it. This is full on dry, very mild bitterness. This is a sweet beer, but it's so dry for me from the pistachio that it balances out enough for me to not, say this is too sweet, right? The lactose, definitely, I can feel the lactose from a sweetness standpoint. I don't know if anybody out there experiences the same thing that I do with lactose, and it doesn't happen all the time, but fairly often I'll get the lactose where you can tell the sweetness of the beer is coming from the lactose, which is different than just the malt character. And it's kind of happening here where it's more of like this vanilla-esque kind of just sweetness that, again, it's more in the lactose realm for what I typically pick up on. It's in terms of the malt character, right? This is more lactose based. But it is sweet. This is like 60-40 sweetness to dryness, but it is not overly sweet. It's not too cloying for my palate. 9%. Big warming in the chest, nothing on the palate, so it hides it relatively well, but I would guess at least 8.5% if I was doing a blind. So not that well, but well enough. One more sip, because, man, the dryness, my tongue is like void of any, saliva. Like it's like a cat tongue, and I use that quite a bit, but it kind of is. It's like sandpaper. What would I like to see out of this one? A better mouthfeel for sure. And I think I would like to see a little bit more of like a fudgy chocolate as opposed to just a sweet or dark chocolate. And I would like to see maybe Are they using lactose? They don't even mention lactose, right? But Joe, what the fuck? It's a milk stout, you idiot. All right, just forget what I said. Now, if I was a worse beer tuber, because I could just edit that out and be like, oh, I never said that. I totally said that. I forgot I was a milk stout for a second, and I just talked about it. If they dial down the lactose, and I don't know how much you're using, but for me personally, lactose is a little bit too heavy on this one. I think if you dial that down, made the mouthfeel a little bit better, and the chocolate a little bit more fudgy, I would love this beer. Because it would be like, I don't know if they exist. Everything exists nowadays. But if there was like chocolate-covered pistachios, like, yeah, all day, every day. As is, I do like this a little bit better than the base, but I should. It's 9% to 6%, so usually Imperial is better than the base when it comes to beers like this. Just because I feel like a base pastry stout that's like sub 6, sub 7%, usually body mouthfeel are disappointing. So and the body's fantastic in this. So what am I do rating-wise? I give that a 4 out of 5. I'm going to give this slightly higher. So, Double Milkstachio or Milkstachio. Oh yeah, tasting notes. Gotta remember. Sometimes I forget. Gotta remember. I'm gonna give this a high 4 out of 5. Go 4.1. I don't think it's amazing. It's not one of my favorite darker beers from Hop Butcher, but I think this is an improvement on the base and a couple tweaks to this, and I think I'd love it. So, and as always, Dan Jetsa with the awesome artwork. And yeah, so pretty damn good beer. I do enjoy it. Just, a few tweaks for me would make it even better. So yeah, tasting notes. Nutty pistachio. Yes. Creamy vanilla. I wouldn't necessarily say creamy vanilla, but I did mention vanilla. So okay, I could see that. And then rich chocolate. I wouldn't say rich, a sweeter milk chocolate. I would want a little bit more rich chocolate. So nutty pistachio, yes. Creamy vanilla for sure. And rich chocolate for sure. But not necessarily on board exactly, but tasting notes are fun to read and see how you did. So price point availability is going to differ probably wherever you buy this. Here in my neck of the woods, Buffalo, New York, where I picked it up, I believe this was like $21, maybe $22 a 4-pack, and I bought a single for $5.99. I think beers like this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there who is in Chicago, but I'm pretty sure these are like $17.99 a 4-pack in and around Chicago. So if it's a $3 or $4 increase, that is normal for when usually places hit distribution. And then, you got to bump it up for a can to $5.99. So if I bought an entire 4-pack of this, you're talking like $5.50 for the can, but 50 cents extra because it was a single. I'm okay with it. Would I pay that again based on what I'm drinking now? No, because again, it's a 4.1. It's a nice score, but I wouldn't pay $6 a can for that again. And availability, I have no idea. It's Hop Butcher. If you're in Chicago, you can get them. They get on some websites like Tavour and whatnot, but like outside of that, I don't know. Their distro's just fucked. Let's just say that. Distro's fucked. I can't, I don't know what I'm going to get from certain breweries. There's a lot of breweries that used to distribute everything here. Now they only distribute 2 beers, or they distro seasonals or limited releases, but none of their, base year-round core range. Like, I don't fucking know what's going on anymore. But if you do see this beer, and you're curious and you like pistachios and this sounds interesting, give it a go. Especially if you can get a single, I'd highly recommend it. So yeah, we got another Hop Butcher beer in the books. Haven't received a package for them in quite a while, which is totally okay with me. They're busy with their brewery and whatnot. And if I never get another Hop Butcher beer mail, they have supported the channel for many, many years and have been way too good to me. So I'm still going to pick up stuff from them occasionally when they show up, and it's something I haven't reviewed before, or something maybe I want to re-review. And this one that just kind of caught my eye, I was like, we're going to give it a go. So if you've had this one before, or the base, if you've done like a side-by-side between the two, anything, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. And also, like I said, I want to know about the canned, the canned on dates no longer being there for some of the beers. Like I said, that's weird. Usually was always on the can. This one does not have it. A couple others that showed up didn't have it. So if anybody is privy to that information, also in the comment section, I would really appreciate it. So thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.